Last year when I covered E3, I combined Bethesda, Ubisoft, and EA all into one show because I didn't think that each of them on their own would talk about enough stuff to be worth dedicating an entire episode to. But this year, EA pooped the bed so bad, I had to give them their own episode just to talking about what a massive flub up that was. However, after doing that, I started to get nervous because I started thinking, what are the odds that Bethesda and Ubisoft will cover enough stuff that'll actually be worth giving them their own episodes? Will I be able to fill up enough time talking about all the stuff that they announced? Bethesda came through. Because when their conference started, I thought, okay, we know that Rage 2 is coming, but Fallout 76, they already showed the trailer for that earlier today. What the heck else could they show? Because, alright, let's think about all the things that Bethesda has. We know they have Elder Scrolls, but that's probably a long ways off. We know they have Fallout, but we already saw the trailer for that. I already talked about that. We know they have Doom, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon. I don't think they're going to create anything new. Wolfenstein? No, Wolfenstein came out last year. No way did they have another one just already ready to go. Oh my god, they had all of that and more. If I had one complaint about Bethesda's conference this year, it's that a lot of the stuff that they showed off was just announcement trailers. It was just, hey guys, we're working on. But stuff that nobody expected them to be working on, at least not yet. So the fact that they're all actually working on these things and are so far along that they feel confident actually telling us about it, that's actually news. That is enough to get me excited. If they had shown gameplay of every single one of these things, then that'd be it. Perfect 10 out of 10. That would have been the best thing that Bethesda could have done. But damn, just the number of things that they announced was still really impressive. But let's go ahead and kick it all off with the biggest announcement of all. Andrew WK works at Bethesda now, everybody. I like to imagine that he is just running around as an intern at Bethesda. Andrew WK, nose constantly bleeding all over that white shirt of his that he was known for back in the 90s, just running around getting coffee for everybody. Yeah, that was a weird thing for this to start off with. Don't get me wrong, I grew up in the 90s. I know who the #1 name in partying is. It's Andrew freaking WK. But yeah, not what I was expecting. And he gets up there and he just, he sings, he does the song up there. But it felt like when he's doing this song all about Rage 2, maybe they should have had gameplay footage for Rage 2 going on the screen behind him. Instead, it's just him up there singing, and it's like, yeah, we're here for the video game. If you want to turn the video game into a live performance of sorts, awesome. This is just the musical live performance, no game. So, not the best way to kick it off. And then they actually showed us some stuff from Rage 2, and they had these two guys come on there on stage, and I don't know what was up with them. I don't know if the teleprompter was broke. I don't know why they would just stand up there like I honestly have to feel like it was either the teleprompter was broke and they were waiting for it to be fixed, or it's one of those things where they just expected massive rounds of applause and they were not going to budge until they got those massive rounds of applause. At one point, they did actually tell everyone, yeah, go ahead, clap, clap. Like, they tried to get everyone to clap, but again, I don't know if they were just trying to, stretch for time, just waiting on, the teleprompter to be fixed. Every E3 is always going to have its share of awkward moments because E3 is a time when people who spend all day hunched over computers have to stand up in front of people and give presentations, things they are not known for doing. So it's always going to have awkward moments, but man, that has to be one of the biggest ones we're going to see this year. However, they did actually show some gameplay for Rage 2, which I do have to say, on the opposite end of the awkward spectrum, the joke that they made about their friends at Walmart Canada being able to keep a secret, kudos Bethesda. That was an awesome line. You actually acknowledged the leak that came out and you made it a joke for yourselves. Way to go. That's how you handle a situation like that. But I was looking at Rage 2 and I remember when it was leaked, all I could think was, who asked for this? Because I remember when the first Rage game came out, nobody was really all that hyped for it. I remember a ton of people being really pissed at the ending of it. So yeah, I didn't think anybody was actually really looking forward to something like this. I watched the gameplay for this, and I'm now looking forward to this game. The gameplay for Rage 2 looks like it was the child of Doom and Wolfenstein, and it was raised by Mad Max. It is a game where a meteor crashed, all these aliens came out, it just basically wiped out the entire planet, and now it is Mad Max. You're living in the wasteland, and you are the last of the Rangers, and you're going out there, and you're just pissed. You're just pissed, and you're just killing everything in your path. Sounds simple enough, but hey man, again, this is the company that reinvigorated Doom. These are the guys who took a really simple concept and made it insanely fun. And I honestly think that's the reason why they decided to bring Rage back. It's because they looked at how well Doom did, and they said, what's the closest thing that we can possibly get to Doom? What is the closest thing to a just really pissed off Space Marine going around punching demons? Really pissed off Ranger going around the wasteland punching mutants? Done. Yeah, there's so many moments in here, like the way that you kill guys off that just reminded me of Doom, but then there's also moments where you get power-ups and it's like, yeah man, you might as well be reaching into a giant vault and point out an eye and smashing it like you do in Doom. It looks exactly like the type of power-ups that you get in Doom, and it's like, alright, cool, you're just making another Doom game. But then the flavor of this game, there's a moment where they just stop the whole trailer to show you a commercial for one of those Billy Big Mouth bass things, those things that you would just hang up on the wall and it would just be a bass that just turns and like sings to you, except rather than a big mouth bass, it's the head of a mutant, which you know that's going to be an actual thing they sell. You know they are going to sell that actual thing. People are going to want to buy a talking, singing mutant head to just hang on their wall. But I looked at that and I just went, that's like those weird trailers that you would just see in all the ads for Wolfenstein. And the more I look at this, the more I went, this isn't just Doom. There's a weird, zany sense of humor to this that does kind of remind me of the just really disturbing dark humor of Wolfenstein. Like there's a moment in which a mutant jumps out at you and it's just got a giant football helmet on its head. Why does it have a giant football helmet on its head? I don't know. Kind of funny, I guess. It's just kind of weird, but that's part of what makes these games so enjoyable. They're just kind of weird. Next game they showed off was Doom Eternal, which I love this new trend that's going on right now where we have to just stop numbering our games, so we're just going to number them forever. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, Halo Infinite, Doom Eternal. It's like, okay, where do you go when the latest installment of your game is until the end of time? There's no more numbers we can add to this thing. But Doom Eternal, I was not expecting this at all. In case you guys have missed it, we have been streaming this over on Twitch, and I remember I was asking the Twitch audience, okay, what exactly could they announce today if they already showed off the trailer for Fallout 76? And a lot of people were saying Doom. It could be Doom. We could see more Doom. And I would have loved that because that last Doom game blew me away. I'm not even a big Doom fan. I did not grow up with that franchise, but that game just rocked me to my socks. I could not believe how good the Bethesda Doom game was. But this is Bethesda we're talking about here, and when it comes to their franchises, there's either going to be a quick turnaround or they're going to wait 12 years to make the next installment and they're just going to keep porting that game over and over and over again. And Doom we've already seen starting to get that port over and over and over again treatment, and it's now been a little bit longer than the quick turnaround treatment, so I'm like, alright, yeah, this is going to be kind of like Skyrim, which we're going to just keep getting new versions of Doom over and over again until finally, after all this time, we get a new version. So I wasn't expecting to hear anything about a new Doom game for minimum 3 more years. Not before it comes out, just before you even hear anything about it. And then when that trailer started up, it was all red and destroyed, and that soundtrack came in, and the soundtrack even told you what it was. Just Doom, Doom, Doom. And man, I started getting excited. But here's the thing, I started just looking at all the demons up there. I started going, that's that dude with the rocket launcher on his back, that's that giant brain thing that you fire at the end of the game, that's this thing, I see that thing over there, I see this thing right here. I was not paying attention to the world at all because I just went, yeah, it's red and fiery, it's hell. It's hell, I get that, but let's look at all these demons in here. Then when they came up there and they said, all right, you want more monsters? We're going to give you double the number of monsters. All right, cool. And you wanted to see hell on earth? We just showed it to you. I went, wait, what? And I went back and I watched the trailer. That wasn't hell. Those were buildings. Those were like street signs that you were seeing there. Hell has now been unleashed on Earth. In every Doom game ever, it was always, you have to get your ass to Mars because that's where hell is. That's where the portal to hell opened up. This, again, I'm not a big Doom historian, just based on the knowledge that I have of Doom. This is something that's never been done before, but it feels like it should have been. Like, it feels like this was the obvious next stage in the Doom franchise. Take that from Mars, bring it to Earth. That's going to be crazy because on Mars, no one's there. It was only people in the research center, and they've all been turned into monsters at this point. And you go out onto the planet itself, no one's just walking around there. It's Mars. But now you're going to be on Earth, and it has me wondering, okay, are you going to run into survivors? Are you going to run into people who can help you along the way? Are you going to run into people you have to save? Because Doom Guy doesn't care about saving people. But are there going to be other characters who you now have to interact with? That could be really interesting. Maybe you find people who you team up with. You find like a merchant who sells you upgrades and such. I have no idea what they could do with this now that it's set on an actual inhabited planet. This is huge to me. Again, they didn't show off any gameplay footage. But the fact that it was an announcement for a thing that I didn't know existed and wasn't expecting for years now, that's big and it's got me excited. Speaking of games from Bethesda that I wasn't expecting the next installation of for a while, Wolfenstein. Okay, I really dug Wolfenstein last year. It didn't make it into my top 10 simply because I did find the gameplay to be a little bit repetitive. It was a lot of just shooting the same kind of villains over and over and over again. But the characters were so damn good. If I made a list of the best ensemble cast of last year, that easily would have won. I dug the characters in that game so much, especially BJ Blazkowicz, because in that game, he was having to find a way to keep fighting on after learning that he was going to have twins. Okay, where's that story going to go? Apparently 30 years into the future. Yeah, the next installation in the Wolfenstein story is going to be Wolfenstein Youngblood, and it's going into the 1980s, and it's now following the twin daughters of BJ Blazkowicz, and it's going to be co-op. They do say that you can play it by yourself, but you can also play it co-op, with each of you controlling one of the daughters, and one of them is an expert with guns, and the other one was just an expert with her fist. Alright. This sounds very interesting. I'm not big on co-op games, but again, you do have the ability to play it by yourself. And I do like this idea that both the daughters will play completely differently. One of them will fight from a distance, the other one will fight up close. That's actually really cool. But I also just cannot believe that's what they're doing with this franchise. They are skipping ahead by 30 freaking years because, as I said, one of the best things about Wolfenstein to me was the characters. It was all that crazy cast that you had come to know and love, and now it's gonna just jump 30 years in the future, and I'm sure some of them are still alive, but you know some of them are not. I mean, heck, the last game ended with you gained some new members on your team. Not gonna see anything with that, and I know that some people have been pointing out that this is DLC, but I've been looking into this. Some people are saying it's DLC, some people are saying it's not DLC, it's just a smaller version of a Wolfenstein game, whatever the hell that means. Honestly, I don't care which of those two it is. DLC, brand new game, it makes no difference to me because what's important to me is that this is the next chapter in the Wolfenstein story, and it's an incredibly bold chapter. This is not something that most game developers would do. You would not take this beloved cast of characters that you spent all this time building up and then skip ahead 30 years. I will always applaud game developers for trying something bold and different. Now, whether or not this pays off, we'll have to see in the actual game, but it was incredibly bold, so I'm going to applaud them for it. However, there is one problem that I definitely have with them moving the story ahead by 30 years. It's that, spoilers right now for Wolfenstein 2. Spoilers, tune out now if you don't want spoilers. Okay, at the end of Wolfenstein 2, it starts with you going on national television, killing one of the head Nazis there, and then you just turn to the television and go, you know something's wrong, stand up, fight back, don't take this anymore. Then there is a hard rock version of We're Not Gonna Take This Anymore blaring as the credits are rolling, and then you see a montage of people taking to the streets and fighting back against the Nazis, and I was like, this is it. This is the start of when BJ starts to turn things around. This is when our team starts fighting back. And now you're skimming ahead by 30 years. And yeah, no, you guys didn't win. None of that really mattered to anything. It kind of hurt the ending of Wolfenstein 2 a little bit, because I thought we were going to follow this story a little bit, and we're going to see, yeah, this is when people started fighting back. Now the next game is people fighting back. Next game after that, yeah, that's when we're finally starting to overthrow these evil Nazis. Yeah, man, we're gonna get this country back. And yeah, 30 years later, no, that didn't happen. You're still fighting. They're still everywhere. They're still running things. Yeah, that kind of hurt that ending a little bit for me. So yeah, I am a little bit disappointed with that. And also, as I said, the Wolfenstein games had such great characters. And if you're gonna move 30 years into the future, you know not all those great characters are still going to be there. So that's a little bit sad. But that also means we're going to get introduced to a bunch of new characters. And the Wolfenstein games, every time they introduce a new character, I instantly fall in love with them. So I'm excited to see what all these new characters are going to be like 30 years in the future. Also, I want to see what the tone of this game is going to be like. Because the last Wolfenstein game, it was set in the 50s, and it was a bunch of crazy, like, 50s science fiction. It was also like that Leave It to Beaver style world, where it was the malt shops, and everybody was smiling and polite. They just happened to be evil Nazis. But you look at this, and you listen to the soundtrack that's playing. It's that 80s style soundtrack. I thought, okay, let's see what this crazy ass sci-fi world that you've created is like in the 80s. So yeah, I am excited for a lot in this game, or DLC, or whatever the hell it is. Again, I don't care. Next up, they announced that Prey was getting a whole lot of DLC, which I actually have not played Prey, so not a lot of that really meant anything to me, but they did do that thing that I love at E3 when they come in here and go, here's all this new stuff, and it's available now. Anytime that you at E3 are able to keep something a secret until the second it is announced, and it's available right there at that moment, oh my goodness, I get chills. I always love when stuff like that happens. So even though I haven't played Prey, yeah, okay, I applaud them for doing that. And also, the stuff that they showed off there looked pretty damn cool. It looked like a lot of new content that actually did get me intrigued to play the game again. But one of the new modes is that you can play as someone hunting down mimics, and then all of your friends can play as mimics, and you can disguise yourself as random items. You can disguise yourself as a chair, as a coffee mug, as a bottle of window cleaner. You can disguise yourself as anything, and then you, the human, have to go around and find where all of your friends are hiding. Dude, this is just Prop Hunter. There is an indie game out there called Prop Hunter, and it's literally the exact same thing, and it's not like this is a game that no one has heard of. It's a big deal in the YouTube scene. Like, lots of Let's Players love to play Prop Hunt. We all know what you did. Then they went into Fallout 76, and as I said, we just saw the trailer for that earlier that day at the Xbox conference. So I was like, alright, what else are you going to show us? Everything. They came in here and just kept giving us stuff. This was the ultimate, but wait, there's more portion of the show. Because every time that I was impressed by something, they came in and impressed me all over again. And this is going to end up being the first Fallout game that I actually own. Because I've played the other Fallout games before, but it was always over at a friend's house. Like, I played a decent chunk of Fallout 3, but it was back in college when a buddy of mine owned it, and that's the only exposure I ever really had to it. So yeah, this will be the first time that I have ever really delved all the way into a Fallout game. And when we did the Xbox conference, I talked about how this commercial, it was them saying, okay, we're going to go out there and it's time to rebuild. It's time to rebuild this world. And I was like, okay, so is this set like way after the other Fallout games? Is this set like when it's time to get society back to normal? No, this is actually a prequel. This is set before all the other ones. This is the first people who came out of the bunkers and was like, all right, we're going to be the first ones who really return everything back to normal. But it's being set in West Virginia, and that's why it looks so much more peaceful and quiet, because, hey, it's out in the mountains. That's wonderful. but they revealed they're going to have all the weird freaky mutants be basically their versions of the Southern Gothic cryptid creatures. And I love that. When it comes to cryptids in America, everybody talks about Bigfoot. Bigfoot gets all the attention. Nobody knows about all the weird, crazy crap that goes down south. I grew up in the South. There's so many cryptid stories in the South. So many weird folklore monsters just roaming around down there. Not for real. I'm not coming in here and actually saying I've seen it. No, but I mean, there are actual stories about crazy folklore monsters throughout the South that nobody really talks about. And it looks like they are going to research these monsters and try and come up with mutant versions of them to fight in this game. One of the things that you actually find in here, I loved it. You found like an old comic book that had like some classic Kirby style monster on there, and that's going to be a thing that you're fighting in there, which granted that is not a Southern folklore monster, but still it is like an older American monster creature that they are trying to adapt in this game. Like, that is freaking awesome. I totally applaud them for going with this. The monsters in here look insane. Like, you've got like a dragon flying around. It turned into Skyrim for 5 seconds in this game. But there's also just a giant sloth. There was a giant sloth roaming around with mushrooms growing on it, and I just looked at that and went, how the hell did a sloth wind up in West Virginia? Did it escape from the zoo? Sloths aren't native to West Virginia, but I don't care because it looked so damn cool. That is one of the things that has me the most interested in this game. Now, let's talk about the part of this that has a lot of people really kind of hesitant. They said this game is going to be fully online. I am not a fan of games that are fully online. I'm not a fan of big co-op games. I enjoy the single player experience more. Then they came back in here and said, but you can play it as a single player. It'll just be a little bit more challenging. Okay, I like part of that sentence. A little bit more challenging? What's your definition of little bit more challenging? What does that mean? So yeah, I'm still going to get this because it looks so damn good. But I'm nervous. I'm nervous about this idea that I'm going to have to go out there and associate with other people and actually make friends. What is this, high school? I'm a YouTuber, for God's sakes. I don't know how to make friends. I don't want to go out there and have to talk to other people. Oh God, I'm totally outside my comfort zone on this one. So yeah, it's gonna be weird, but then they showed what you could do with your friends, and I got so excited. This looks insanely fun to me. The idea that you all can decorate your base together, that sounds fun. That sounds like a good time. The fact that after you take out a giant monster, you and your friends can all pose in front of it and then take photos of yourselves. That looks incredibly fun as well. If they create some kind of a way in which you can take the photos that you snap in here and like download onto your computer, download onto your phone, download onto like say your PlayStation background, I want to use some photos of me and my team posing against the giant dead dragon we just killed as my wallpaper on my computer. Give me a way to do that, Bethesda. So yeah, that looked incredibly fun. But the one that got me is when they introduced the modern day equivalent of just getting mad at the game and you flip the board over. They say there's still a bunch of nuclear stockpiled weapons everywhere. And if you find parts of the code, you can assemble that code. And you might run into other people who also have parts of that code. And if you get a complete code, you can go into the nuclear bunker and just launch a missile and just wipe out a massive chunk of the map. That looks bananas. That looks like one of the craziest things I have ever seen you have the power to do in a video game. And I want to know, like, how permanent is that? Like, can you wipe out a giant chunk of the map and it just never goes back to normal? Because this is a shared map that we all use, man. Can you just wipe out huge chunks of a field and like you run across a giant barren wasteland and go, oh geez, guess someone else just wiped someone else out with a giant nuclear weapon here? Because that's one of the things they said you could do. If other players are just pissing you off too much, turn your keys at the same time, get your team to just pull a nuclear strike on them. They're out. Taken care of. Someone in the chat on Twitch when we were watching this pointed out, this is a great way to keep anybody from becoming too powerful. No one person can just grind and grind and grind, and then they're the biggest badass there, and they just run over everyone else, and just keep anyone else from having fun because they're just being a giant dick. If you get that powerful, and you piss off that many people, turn the keys at the same time, man, and you're gone. This sounds insane. I don't even know what this style of gameplay is going to be like. I don't know if people are going to love this. I don't know if people are going to hate this. I don't know how this is going to impact the game, but I am excited to find out. Also, the collector's edition that they introduced, when they said collector's edition, I thought, alright, it's going to be a season pass crap. I hate that stuff. I freaking hate when they introduce just season passes right at the start. No, give me a good game, then introduce the DLC later. Don't introduce the good game and then go, okay, but also there's mystery stuff. You can get this great game, or you can get what's in the mystery box over here. I hate that stuff. The collector's edition for this has a map that glows in the dark, and I love the fact that the people presenting this realize what a fun idea that was. The excitement that they had for this was all you needed. That's all you needed to see. You also get one of the Fallout helmets as a desk lamp, and you can also wear it. That's what I want out of a collector's edition. That's what I'm talking about. God damn it, Bethesda. It's like you actually care about making fun stuff. Next up, they talked about Elder Scrolls Blades, which is a brand new mobile game. And if you watched our coverage of EA, you know I gave them a ton of crap because they just stopped the entire show to just talk about this mobile game. And the people who come to E3 aren't exactly interested in your brand new mobile game. So you're probably expecting me to tear into Bethesda as well. I'm not gonna do that. Why? Because A, this came after they had given us so much cool stuff. One thing right after another. You give me a ton of cool stuff, you can come in here and talk about your mobile game. It's fine. EA didn't give us crap. EA gave us Unravel 2, which, hey, okay, Sea of Solitude, hey, that looks pretty darn cool. And then a bunch of really disappointing stuff. Then they talked about a mobile game for way too long that was taking a franchise that everyone had been looking forward to coming back and announced it was now a mobile game, and they got sports announcers to come in there and commentate over two people playing the mobile game, which is not fun ever, and everyone should have known that. Here, they just came in and they hyped up this mobile game, and they did actually a darn good job hyping up this mobile game. Yeah, man, this mobile game actually looked kind of fun. I'm not going to play it because I don't really care about mobile games all that much. I play Pokemon Go and that's it for me. But it does look like a decent, fun mobile game. That's fine, whatever. And it was after all this other cool stuff. You're allowed to come in and talk about your mobile game then. But hey, I said that one of the problems with Command & Conquer is that they were taking this beloved franchise and just turning it into a mobile game. Yes, but that's all it was going to be now. This thing people had been waiting to return was now just returning on their phone, and people weren't happy about that. People have been waiting for the next Elder Scrolls game, and they're getting Elder Scrolls on their phone. And they're also getting Elder Scrolls 6. That's how you do it. You don't take the thing that everybody loved and then just make it a mobile game. You make a mobile game spin-off to give those people who enjoyed something a little extra something in their pocket now, at the same time that you're giving them the main next installment of the thing that they love. Again, we saw no gameplay footage. None whatsoever. However, this is the follow-up to freaking Skyrim. That's all you needed. Just tell us you're making the next Elder Scrolls. That's all we need to know. You got a logo ready? Cool. You didn't just come in here and say Elder Scrolls, blah 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 blue. Again, going back to the EA thing, what they did with Star Wars. Yeah, you didn't come in here and just tell us that. You did give us a logo. You did show off the map a little bit. Okay, that's something. But again, this is something that nobody had any idea that they were working on. You are allowed to just come in here and just simply announce something if it is a complete surprise. That's all you need at times. And also, gives me something to look forward to at next year's E3. It does make me go, okay, what's the big thing that we're going to see? This is going to be the thing that for like the next 2 years, we're going to see updates on this, and I'm going to look forward to those updates. Speaking of the follow-up to Skyrim, again, I just got to applaud Bethesda. These guys have a great sense of humor, and they realize they've been pimping Skyrim out forever. So that skit that they did with Keegan-Michael Key, in which they were showing off, the new versions of Skyrim that you could now play it on Etch-a-Sketch, you can now play it on your smart refrigerator, but you can also play it on your Amazon Alexa thing, in which Alexa just read Skyrim to you like it was a D&D campaign. That was a great bit, but it actually had me going for a while because they have pimped Skyrim out on so many different formats, and for so freaking long, there came a second in which I thought, are you actually going to turn Skyrim into a D&D game that you can play with Alexa? Is that what's happening here? Is this, like, it took me actually longer than I would like to admit to realize, oh, it's a joke. Oh, you funny, Bethesda. But in all fairness, if Bethesda announced they were doing that, I would believe it. Okay, the last thing that was announced here was Starfield, which all we know about is that it's a sci-fi game. But the reason why this is a big deal is because it's the first original thing that Bethesda has worked on in 25 years. They have just been putting out their Fallout. They have just been putting out their Elder Scrolls. They have been buying up other people's old franchises like Wolfenstein and Doom and now Rage. They've just been grabbing that old stuff, man. And hey, if you can take the old stuff and make it feel new again, introduce it to a brand new generation, that's awesome. I applaud that. But I always want to see new stuff. I always want to see that creators are working on something brand new, that we are getting brand new franchises started. So yeah, again, kind of like that Elder Scrolls announcement, we don't see anything of it, so I can't really comment on it. But the fact that this giant company that has put out there so much cool stuff over the years is finally giving us a brand new franchise, that's all I needed to know. And again, it's got me really excited for next year's E3. But alright, that's it. That is our coverage of the Bethesda press conference. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought about it. Also, let me know what you thought about E3 in general so far, because this is the magic of E3. How they are able to turn things around on a dime, because EA kicked this off with one of the worst conferences I've seen. It wasn't the worst, but it was bad. It was an awful way to start E3. And then within the span of 24 hours, it went from one of the worst starts I've ever seen to an E3 to, could this be the best E3? Because Xbox and Bethesda really knocked it out of the freaking park. So let me know what you have thought about E3 so far. And if you have not checked it out yet, we are going to be streaming all of these with me talking over the conferences, talking to the chat, sharing our thoughts on this over at Twitch at twitch.tv/ProfessorThorgE. And if you want to know when any of those are going up, you can always follow me on Twitter at twitter.com/ProfessorThorgE. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Come back next time. Bye.